instead of it being summun, bukmun, it's summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarji'un. Okay, now let's we're gonna look closely here because there's a lot of rules right here about what we're talking about. So now you got, whenever you have this iqlab that happened, you have to put an ikhfa on it. Also, it's not an, this is not a meme where you would apply idhar, like we talked about idhar, where you just do it clearly. If it was idhar, it would sound like this. First ghanna here, and then if it was idhar there, it would be summun bukmun. See that last one? But no, you have to drag this one and hide it a little. And we talked about the whole how to do it last time in my other video. So it would become summun bukmun umyun fahum la yarji'un. Okay, so if you pay attention, this is two harakat, sum, right, and then mun, another two, so it's sum, two harakat, then this is two harakat, then buk, mun is not two harakat, because if you pay attention, this is idhar here. Here's the idhar rule. We talked about the first one. That's a ayn that follows the noon sakin or tanween. In this case, it's a tanween. So the next letter is a ayn. As you can see, your ayn is the backwards apostrophe. That's a ayn right here. So there you get idhar. So for that one, you say bukmun umyun. This one's ukhfa. So this one gets stretched longer. We'll talk about that next. So it's mun, buk, mun, umyun. So the ones that are two harakat, they're green. Keep them two harakat longer. The ones that are in black, don't. Just enough to pronounce it. Summun, bukmun, umyun, fahum la yarji'un. Okay, just like that. That's that word. Here's another one. Wallahu muhitun bil kafirin. Muhitun bil kafirin. That's the same thing, because here it was your tanween. You'll never have that sound except in tanween. Muhitun. It was tun. T-U-N. Muhitun. That's the word. Muhitun. Wallahu muhitun with a T-U-N. But because you're having a bet here, okay, that noon turns into a meme. Iqlab. It's flipped. It's switched. It's changed. That's a pretty simple rule. That one only applies with one letter. Like we said, the other ones were like 6 letters and 6 letters, this and that, and the next one's going to be even more letters. So this one's pretty much the simpler one. And then the thing to keep in mind, it's not finished. Not only do you change it to a meme, but then you apply an ikhfa to it. Also, you treat it as you would a noon ikhfa. You hide it a little bit and you make it to harakat. Green. So one last time. Wallahu muhitun bil kafirin. Okay. So that's that rule, your iqlab. And then that brings us to ikhfa. Okay. Now your ikhfa, like we said, that the linguistic definition of it, the actual language definition, is to hide something or conceal it. You don't hide it to the point though where you still know, it's not like in the idgham where you completely ignored it and swapped it. No, in this one you pronounce it and you make it to harakat, but you hide it a little bit. the articulation changes just a little. That you let some air escape from your mouth rather than all the pressure coming out of the ghunna from the nose. So that little bit of gap in your mouth, when you do that, it hides some of the ghunna characteristic, the stronger characteristic that you find in the letter, and that achieves your ikhfa. So the ikhfa happens when it's 15, I think 15 letters, and there, I mean, you don't have to drive yourself too crazy to like remember the letters, and most of them it's like you're gonna know it just from reading enough. Like it's gonna sound right once you pick it up and you you start following your reading properly. Then you'll know like the dad's coming. It just sounds right to put a ikhfa there, you know. So when any of those letters come, if you guys are curious, I'll tell you what they are right now. But like I said, you don't have to drive yourself crazy trying to. It's actually easier remembering the other ones, knowing how to treat the other ones, and then just boxing these in together at the end, without just knowing that. Okay, knowing that the izhar letters, to be very careful of those. So pay attention to izhar, and then obviously if it's the same, pay attention to izhar and idgham. And then if it's not the same letter or a meme or followed by a bat, a kleb, if it's not one of those, then it's gonna fall into this, so you'll just know, those 15. Real quick, they're ta, tha, jim, dal, dhal, za, sin, shin, صاد, ضاد, طا, ظا, fa, qaf, and kaf. Those 15 cause the ikhfa, and that will be it'll be two harakat, and it'll be a little blurred sounding. So that was an ikhfa, even though it was on a noon, on a meme, sorry. This is an ikhfa on the noon. Okay? Here we got idgham, qalqali, mad. That's idgham. Here we got let's see. Here's the ikhfa right here. This is ghunna, because this is a shaddid. This is in one word, two noons in one word. It's actually just got the shaddid symbol, which means double letter. Okay, so Inna Allah ala kulli shay'in qadir. Okay, now most of the rules, like I said, most of the rules are for Noon Sakinah and Tanween. That's like a good majority of Tajweed rules revolve around Noon Sakinah and Tanween. And then the other thing that has the most rules is the med, the elongation, giving the proper length to each every syllable, every word, every letter, giving it its proper length. The med, the elongation. That has a pretty good amount of rules too. And I mean, like, it seems on the surface you would think the med got 3 or 4 or 5 different rules, but it really gets much more complicated, and some of them are similar but they're classified different. So like beneath the classes of med, then there's like subclasses and subclasses of those, and then other ones that are similar to those that are treated the same but they're slightly different. It's like it's really different. And there's a lot into the med too, if you want to really memorize like all the technical the applied definitions, and if you want to know all that like stuff with the med, knowing the definition of each specific subtype, there's a good amount of stuff there to learn too. But to get you off reading properly, it'll be simple. So if you don't know how to read yet, try not to confuse yourself with too much rules. Just sit with somebody that knows how to read and take it from them. Sit with somebody who's skilled, and then pick out a famous reciter that you like, download read along, you know. So that'll always help too. But like I said, you need an actual teacher in the field too. That's one of the biggest things. Like that'll help you, you know, because they have to hear you make your mistake. Because sometimes you won't hear your mistake, you know. You'll think, oh, I read it. You'll think, oh, I read that great, and you'll completely overlook something or didn't know about the rule or mistook a letter or whatever the case is. So there's no substitute for reading with a live teacher that can correct you and teach you there. But you know, but to read by yourself and listen along is also, that's a great exercise. Read along and, you know, take your time and make sure you read it all right and repeat, you know. So that's your that, and like we said, what happens? Two harakat and you hide the letter. Shay'in qadir. Okay. Um, that's it. And then like the most obvious thing is when you got two memes in a row, two wows in a row, two noons in a row, two yas in a row. That's gonna be two harakat with gunna, and the ra and the lam will never have the gunna. Okay. So that pretty much covers most of the stuff I think for Noon Sakinah and Tanween, without getting any more complicated or confusing. And then after Noon Sakinah and Tanween rules, the next thing would be the Meme Sakinah rules, which we just kind of like touched on. The Meme Sakinah rules, they're pretty simple. It's not as much. There's not as much to know as it had there, but I'm saying once you get the Noon Sakinah and Tanween down, then and you know about the med, then pretty much from there, not too much stuff. If you have the proper articulation points for the letters, then you'd be in great shape from there on, you know. And, you know, so it's Noon Sakinah rules, the Meme Sakinah rules, the med rules are a lot of stuff, and then other than that, you got the rules for Ra, which about 8 rules, maybe 6 to 8 rules. Most of them, like 5 or 6 of them, are very similar and they're real easy. They're like one rule, but like you divide them into 6 to make it easier to remember. It's pretty simple. So the rules for Ra, there's only a couple of them that are like a little confusing. So that's it. And then you got rules for Lam Sakina, which are just a couple simple things and not too much else, you know. So it's like that's pretty much the meat and bones. So get through your Noon Sakinah and Tanween, and you're in good shape. And like I said, it's you're better off really honestly reading in Arabic, even if it looks Chinese to you. Read in both, you know. If the Arabic you don't know any of it, learn the letters. Read in English, learn the letters, okay? And then once you learn the letters, you got that on the left as an aid, and you can sound it out. Ma, ta, lu, hum, you know, and you could check back. Oh, I read it right, or oh, I pronounced it wrong, you know. So, you know, try to pick them both up, and it might seem Chinese, but if you read every day, even if it takes you 10 minutes to just read this one line, even if it takes you 10 minutes, really, to read this one line, these 5 words, that's what it takes. Fine. Read it. Every day, read for 10 minutes and read one line. Before you know it, you'll be reading a page in 10 minutes, you know. You know, it might seem near impossible, but you will be, you know, because if you just read every day, not even for a crazy amount of time, just read, you know, but every day, you know, whether it's 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, or an hour, or whatever, just read, and, you know, you'll always get better. But it's when you don't read, you're going to get worse. Not only, you know, you won't even stay how you were, you're going to get worse, you know. That's what's going to happen, you know, really. So you got to just read, stay sharp, and practice, and that's it, inshallah, you know, and you get better. So, you know, just this was all Chinese to me a couple years ago, so don't feel discouraged, anybody, you know. And that's it. You'll be on your way in no time.